In this video, I'm going to be showing my top 10 budget games for the Quest. Now this only includes paid games, so free games like Echo Arena or Rec Room, which are, by the way, well worth checking out, they are not included in this list. This list also includes games only from the official Quest store, so no App Lab or side quest games, but there are some very good budget games there too. If you're interested, I recommend you check out some of my earlier videos like this list of top 15 App Lab games. So one more thing to explain before we get into it, what's considered budget? I guess that's going to vary from person to person, but for me, budget is $15 or less. This is followed by mid-range, which I would say is about $16 to $30, and then upper range for me would be anything over $30. So with that out of the way, let's get into it. First on my list is Walkabout Mini Golf. Now this is a game that seems to be on most people's lists of best budget games, and that's for a very good reason. It has a 4.8 out of 5 rating in the store, and really it's just a very well put together mini golf game with great physics. If you're after a budget casual sports game, then definitely do check this out. There's a pretty decent amount of courses here. There are 5 18-hole courses to be exact. So that's about 90 courses in total. The courses themselves are really varied and fun to play. It has a great replayability value, and I love the little extras like the hidden balls you have to find throughout the courses, or the new Fox Hunt mini game mode where you have to solve clues to unlock special putters in the game. It supports 90Hz mode and cross-play multiplayer. So really this game would be worth it at double the price in my opinion, so its inclusion on this list for me is really a no-brainer. So another undisputed heavyweight champ of this budget category is Thrill of the Fight. So if you're after a more intense sports and fitness game, then look no further. It is without a doubt the most realistic boxing game that I have ever played on the Quest. It is also, in my opinion, one of the best workouts you can get in VR. In this game there's a boxing gym that you can use to hone your skills, and the premise of the game is really quite simple. You have to face off against and defeat various opponents of ever increasing difficulty as you progress throughout the game. If you do play this one, just make sure you have enough clear space around you before you begin and a sweat towel at hand, because you're definitely going to need it. So if you're after something a lot less intense, maybe some casual storytelling and puzzle solving, then I can recommend A Fisherman's Tale. So this isn't the perfect game, it is quite short, lasting maybe a couple of hours, and the puzzles are not too challenging, but they are quite clever and the story is a real treat. You play as a fisherman puppet living alone in your lighthouse when all of a sudden you get a storm warning come through the radio, and so you need to climb your lighthouse to turn on the light. Within this game you have this really cool world within a world inception thing going on. And on your way to completing your mission, you do come across some pretty funny characters and some really mind-bending puzzles. So while it is a short experience and you'll probably be wanting more, I think by the end of it you will definitely have enjoyed the journey while it lasted. So our next game, Cubism, is one of the side quest success stories. This started out as a game on side quest and is now on the official Oculus Quest store. So it is a puzzle game, a very casual puzzle game where you can just sit down, chill out and relax. But having said that, it will give your brain a good workout. You have to place the shapes into the empty object in order to complete the puzzle. And like so many good puzzlers, it's a very simple concept, but actually very difficult to master. If you're anything like me, you'll spend hours with these brain teasers, and it now includes hand tracking, so you can play this game using your hands without controllers. Now hand tracking can be a bit hit or miss, but it's perfect for this game, as this game requires just slow, deliberate movements using your hands, which is something that current hand tracking technology can cope with quite well. This game currently has 60 puzzles to complete, and if I were to sum it up, I'll say this game is fun, is relaxing, it can be frustrating at times, as you try desperately to figure out how these shapes go together, but that's all part of this game's charm and will have you coming back every time for more. So with this next game, if you're after puzzles but much less of a casual experience, more action orientated, then check out Yupitergrad. In this game you swing through a space station using your grapple hooks and have to solve puzzles along the way. There's a campaign with over 50 levels, but having said that, it doesn't last too long. It'll probably take you about just over 2 hours to complete. But there is a new time attack mode where you have to swing through 20 arcade levels as fast as you can, so there is some replayability here too. It is a unique game, and swinging around like Spider-Man is a lot of fun and really doesn't get old. Just be aware that it does get a bit intense, so if you do suffer from motion sickness, just take care. Now if you're after a narrative game, it becomes quite difficult because there are quite a few good narrative games for a budget price. For example, The Line is one of them, and Battlescar Punk Was Invented by Girls is another. These are both great narrative games and I can recommend both of them. But I do have to choose one for this list, and the one I will choose is Wolves in the Wolves. So like a lot of these narrative adventure games, it is quite short, about 30-40 minutes. So just bear that in mind before you buy this one. So in this narrative adventure, you are able to interact with some objects as you help 8-year-old Lucy discover what's in her walls. Without giving away the story, it has a really beautiful style. The sounds and music are great, and by the end of the story, you'll probably end up forming an emotional connection with Lucy. There is a little bit of mystery and suspense in this game, but it is suitable for both young and old alike, and if you're after a game of this type, I do recommend this one. So switching gears now, and if you're after some intense multiplayer action, then I highly recommend Blaston. So this is a competitive 1 versus 1 player versus player multiplayer shooter. There is a single player function where you can play against bots, but really if you're going to get this game, it's going to be as a multiplayer game, not as a single player game, because that's where this game really shines. So in this game you get to choose your own weapon loadout, and you collect weapons along the way as you level up. Then once you have your weapons equipped, you duke it out against another online player, so you have to duck, dodge and weave like Neo from the Matrix. There's a lot of strategy involved, it's a very competitive game and will have you working up a sweat too. They've also introduced the New World expansion update, which among other things introduces a mission system that allows you to complete quests, so the developers are still very active in updating this game. And if you're really looking to test your skills, why not participate in one of the officially hosted Blaston tournaments? So if you're after something a bit more straightforward, just shooting, hacking and slashing, then I can recommend Drop Dead Dual Strike Edition. So it's an on-the-rails zombie shoot 'em up game. There's 3 story chapters to complete and a horde mode, as well as multiplayer and co-op features. The campaign in this game will take you at least about 3 hours to complete, though I think it would take you longer as you'll probably end up dying and need to replay parts time and time again, and of course the horde mode adds a level of infinite replayability. It feels really good when you're dual wielding weapons, and so if you're after some mindless zombie bashing fun, then I would say check this one out. So for anyone who follows my channel, this next game probably won't come as a surprise. So I recently reviewed this game and I gave it a 5 out of 5, not because it is the perfect game. For example, the visuals could use some work, but for the $15 price tag, it's well worth the money. This game is called Cosmodread, so if you're after a survival horror roguelike game, then I would say look no further. So in this game, you're a cosmonaut trapped aboard a dying spaceship that's filled with horrors, and your mission is to get back to Earth. The tense horror atmosphere is amazing, and the gameplay is both engaging and addictive. Now ammo is scarce, so in addition to weapons, grenades and traps, you need to hide, run and throw things to distract your enemies long enough to get by. The game feels quite well balanced, and you always feel like the odds are stacked against you as you scavenge for items from the ship to stay alive, but it never gets too difficult or unfair. Now technically you could complete all objectives on the ship in about 2 hours, but it's unlikely you'll do that on your first go. Realistically, you're looking at a few attempts, and it took me about 5 hours to get through one full playthrough, and even then there's a ton of replay value here as the environments are procedurally generated, so each time you play, the ship layout, monsters and item placements change up. This is a must-have title, and for the $15 price tag, it's worth every cent. So this next game is on this list because I wanted to include some type of racing game. It's definitely not the best game on this list, but I do think it is the best racing game for the price. It is a futuristic arcade style racer very similar to the game Wipeout on the PlayStation. So you tear around these tubular tracks in these gravity defying spacecraft using weapons to slow down your opponents. There is no multiplayer feature unfortunately, but the single player mode does have about 10 separate tracks and 8 different modes that include combat mode, elimination and championship mode. There's also been a recent update with a boss fight game mode which has different difficulty tiers, and as you progress through the game you earn achievements, unlock ships and get ranked on a leaderboard. It's a great racing game for the price. Just as always, be aware that if you do suffer from motion sickness, this might be a game that triggers it, so as always, take care with that. So that's it for this list. I do hope you've enjoyed it. Are there any games that you would include on this list that I haven't? Please let me know in the comment section below. If you have liked the video, do remember to hit that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button and notification bell if you feel I have deserved it and you would like to see the latest content coming from this channel. That's it from me for now. Thanks for watching as always, and I'll catch you in the next video.